Hello, 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 hello. Welcome, welcome one, welcome all. The purpose, how you doing? The purpose of this stream is for discussion of addiction and recovery based on Christian principles and the 12-step program of recovery. Occasionally, other subjects may also be discussed. Everything the host or guest shares is opinion and comes from personal experience in recovery. Your path to recovery may be different, and that's okay. Just get there. All right. Hi, George. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome aboard. Glad you're here. Stick around a little bit. Let me change that. There we go. Yeah, definitely glad you're here. Let's see. Where are you? There's George. All right. Nice to have you with us, George. And anybody else that happens to be hiding out there in the bushes, welcome aboard. My name's Glenn. I'm a recovered alcoholic. I drank for about 40 plus years. And by the grace of God, only by the grace of God, and a little help on the outside from AA, I have been sober now for over 5,000 days. And okay, very good. How do I make you disappear? Okay. Oh, there you go. Okay, that was easy. Well, why can't I see you over here, George? Oh, this chat makes me angry. I don't know why I'm having such trouble. I didn't have trouble the other night, but all of a sudden now I got trouble again with this. Let's see. Oh, no problem. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bull. I was already in Tunisia. I didn't care for it. Sorry. It was too hot. No, I don't think so. Is that why your name is Joker? Oh, come on now. No. So I don't know why I'm having such trouble with this, with my chat being up on the screen. Oh, Lordy. Let's see if I can find the, if I can find the gosh darn settings. I might be able to do something with it. I don't know. Let's see. No, I don't see anything there either. Oh, well. Oh, really? Well, I know. It's a beautiful country over there. Saudi Arabia. Oh, it's at, what did I see on YouTube? That, I think it's in Saudi. That new roller coaster. It does like 150 miles an hour. I think that's the one. Anyway, let me see. Let's see. How do I do this? Let me see. Bear with me here just a second. Let's see. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I did that. Uh-huh. All right. And let's see. Okay, that's what I want to do. Uh-huh. Okay. Huh. Okay. Well, let me try that. Bear with me here just a second, guys and ladies. I'm going to try to do this. Oh, wait, that doesn't come up in here. I went through this the other night. I finally did get it to work, and I don't even remember how I did it, to be honest with you. Let's see. Let's go in here. Nope. Nope. No, I love the directions on how to fix things and the and it's not even in there. Well, let me see if I can get it over here. Okay, let's go back here. Bear with me. Um, so I'm trying to see if I can get the people. Okay, okay. Oh, okay. Well, you make it sound easy. Let's see what happens. No, that's not it. That's not it. That's not it. I love it. I love it. Sure, just go there, click on that, and it'll dynamite. Didn't work. Worth a, you know what? All right, let's go back over here. Yeah, that's exactly how I feel, George. That's exactly how I feel. But welcome one, welcome all. Hang in there for a little bit. Welcome. And I hope you're having a good evening. Do you have a good weekend? I'm going to get this fixed sooner or later. Bear with me. How about that? Does that work? I think so. Okay. And I think it's working. I think. Oh, it's doing that double thing again, right? It's it's doubling, mirroring, whatever they call it. Yeah, I don't want that to happen. Let's see if we can fix that. No, I more or less got rid of everything, didn't I? I'm in great shape here. Great shape. Great shape. Yeah, I think I finally got it fixed. I think. That's fine. That's good. Works for me. Okay. All right. So I think I get things working here. Almost. What happened to? There he is. Okay. Almost where it's supposed to be. Anyway, welcome. Welcome. Finally got my technical stuff taken care of. Oh, now they want to help me. Thanks. I think I was talking to AI all the time anyway. But thanks anyway. All right. So here we are. It's I almost said Friday night. I don't even know what day it is. It's Monday, right? It seemed like a Sunday actually all day, but the holiday and all that here in the USA. Um, I do want to welcome you in, and what we normally do here during the week is we do talk a little bit about recovery. Excuse me. Talk a little bit about recovery and talk to you guys if you have any questions. If you're trying to get sober, or maybe you've been sober for a while, I'd love to hear from you. And we do a little bit of reading out of the big book of AA and NA and Celebrate Recovery Study Bible, and also Living Sober, How to Live Sober. And yeah, you might be able to put some of it to use. I don't know, maybe not. If not, hey, we'll just chit chat. That's okay too. I do want to welcome you aboard. So that's why we're here. Is that my glasses, or is that thing there? Bear with me. That's going to go off, and I'm still here. I don't know. I think that's probably worse now. I don't know what happened. I got some goober on my camera. One little bath. There you go. Might as well get you cleaned up while you're here, right? Is that better? Yeah, that's better. A little shower. Need to do that once in a while. At least once a week, right? Good old Navy showers. All right. Thanks, Kazar. Thank you, Kazar. Yeah, so we do talk a little bit about recovery and addiction, and if you have any problem like that, of course, it can be a problem because you only got 3 ways out. You know what those are, right? Jail, institutions, or death. That's right. And I speak from experience. Yeah. Over 5,000 days of experience now, and 40 plus years before. So, and I'm not really proud of that either, to be honest with you, but it just is a fact. All right, so it's Monday. It's a little bit after 8 o'clock Eastern, 8:17, and I thought I might hang out for a little while tonight. We did a little reading the other night on from the Big Book, which I thought was pretty amazing. That book, written back in 1939, published in 39, is really a gift to people that are in either alcohol addiction or any other kind of addiction, for that matter. Because although the Big Book does talk about alcoholism, you can plug in the word addiction in for that word, and everything they say fits. Everything they say fits. So, it's a wonderful piece of literature. So now that I have my monitor in front of me, so if you're If you're currently using and abusing, stick around. If you're not, you're still welcome, because a lot of the things that we talk about is also how to stay sober and not cave into those desires, I guess you could say. The peer pressure from friends and family and acquaintances, especially if you go out to special events and so forth. A lot of events in the summer. If you're in the northern hemisphere, I imagine there's a lot of events in the winter in the southern hemisphere as well. But mostly in the summer, a lot of weddings going on, celebrations of different kinds. And if you're in sobriety now, maybe you were a former drinker or former user of drugs, you want to stay sober, we've got some tips for you as we go along here. So I do want to read a little bit from the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, and this is chapter 3, more about alcoholism. I suffer from alcoholism, not alcoholism. It's always ism, and I'll always have it. Most of us have been unwilling to admit that we were real alcoholics. And again, you can just put addicts in that in place of the word alcoholics, if you so choose. No person likes to think that he is bodily and mentally different from his fellows. That's true. We all want to blend in. Therefore, it's not surprising that our using careers, drinking, using, abusing, have been characterized by countless vain attempts to prove that we could act like other people. The idea that somehow, someday, we will control and enjoy our drinking, or you control and enjoy using. It's the great obsession of every abnormal addict. The persistence of this illusion is astonishing. Many pursue it into the gates of insanity or death. Boom, boom, there you have it. Many pursue it into the gates of insanity or death. It will kill you. It will kill you and put you in a box or a canister, as I know very well. We learned that we had to fully concede to our innermost selves that we were addicts, alcoholics. This is the first step in recovery. The delusion that we are like other people, or presently maybe, has to be smashed. Yeah, we're not like other people. If you're into alcohol and you drink and you've gone over the line, or if you've ever used drugs and gone over the line, we're not like other people. That whole idea has got to be kicked out of your brain. Excuse me a moment. Iced coffee. That is my addiction. Iced coffee. I'm a coffee addict. Better than a whole lot of other things, let me tell you. We alcoholics / addicts, we're men and women who've lost the ability to control our activities. We know that no real addict ever recovered control. All of us felt at times that we were regaining control, but such intervals, usually brief, were inevitably followed by still less control, which led in time to pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization. We were demoralized. We're convinced to a man that alcoholics of our type are in the grip of progressive illness. And again, I'm self-editing here for a majority of people that are alcoholics, addicts. They may be dual addiction with alcohol and drugs, but you're welcome. Welcome here anyway. Doesn't matter. You could be addicted to something else, food. Pick your flavor of addiction. There's plenty out there to choose from. Um, Over a considerable period of time, we get worse and never better as long as we continue to use and abuse. Right? Um, this is very, of course, when this was written back 1930, 30s, late 30s, let's put together. Things were a little different back then, but it's very sexist now. If you read it word for word, exactly as it was printed, especially if you're a woman of the female gender. Um, this particular phrase, we are like men who have lost their legs. Well, it could be men or women. There's plenty of women that have lost their legs too. They never grow new ones. Neither does there appear to be any kind of treatment which will make alcoholics/addicts of our kind like others. We've tried every imaginable remedy, and in some instances, there's been a brief recovery, followed by always by still worse relapse. Physicians who are familiar with addiction agree that there's no such thing as making a normal user out of an addict or a drinker out of an alcoholic. Science may one day accomplish this, but it evidently hasn't done so yet. So we're still waiting for that magic pill. Be nice if it came along. Despite all, we can say many who are real addicts/alcoholics are not going to believe that they're in that class. By every form of self-deception and experimentation, they will try to prove themselves exceptions to the rule. Therefore, non-alcoholic or non-addict, because alcohol is a drug. And if anyone who is showing inability to control his drinking or using can do the right about face and be a gentleman, our hats are off to him or her. Heaven knows we've tried hard enough and long enough to be like other people. Can't drink like other people, can't use, period. Here are some of the methods we've tried. Now, this is definitely geared for the alcoholic. So if you have trouble with alcohol, listen up. Here's some methods we have tried. Drinking beer only, limiting the number of drinks, never drinking alone, never drinking in the morning, drinking only at home, never having it in the house, never drinking during business hours, drinking only at parties, switching from scotch to brandy, drinking only natural wines, and so on and so on and so on. We could increase the list ad infinitum, which simply means it would go on forever, right? To infinity. Um, Unfortunately, when you talk about using, yes, thank you, Kazar. Yeah, absolutely a new life. And 24 years, congratulations. Congratulations by the grace of God. Yes, you are absolutely right. And where is that line? I'll find it here. I have to go back a little ways. Oh, let's see if I can find it. Oh, maybe I could just do a search. A search. Is that Control F? Yes. There it is. Huh. Thank you. Found it. Kazar. For the sober people that have found sobriety. We have found much of heaven, and we have been rocketed into a fourth dimension of existence of which we had not even dreamed. That's if you have solved the problem. The whole thing is fantastic. The great fact is just this and nothing less, that we have had a deep and effective spiritual experience which has revolutionized our whole attitude toward life, toward our fellows, and toward God's universe. The central fact of our lives today is the absolute certainty that our Creator has entered into our hearts and lives in a way which is indeed miraculous. He's commenced to accomplish those things for us which we could never do by ourselves. And that's a fact, Jack. I couldn't get sober by myself either. That's true. I couldn't do it. I needed extra help. And God gave me that extra help. I thank Him every day. You know? We do not like to brand any individual as an alcoholic / addict, but you can quickly diagnose yourself. Step over to the nearest bar room or drive by the nearest dealer. Yeah. With a fistful of money, obviously. And try some controlled drinking or controlled using. How about that? Try that out. Yeah, see how that works for you. Right? Try to drink and stop abruptly. Try to use and stop abruptly. You think so? Yeah, it depends on what you're using. You may stop permanently, right? It happens. Well, I know that from firsthand experience. Okay. Try it more than once. Yeah, go ahead. If you survive, it won't take you long to realize that if you're honest with yourself about it, it may be worth a bad case. They call it the bad case of jitters. Back in the day, you had the jitters. That was a long time ago. Yeah, hangover, drug sick. Yeah, that's all a bad case of jitters, all right. But do it if you have to, so you can get full knowledge of your condition. I don't know about that. I might disagree with that just a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Because you could cause a whole lot of damage in between finding out what your condition is. You should already know what your condition is just from your interaction with other people and daily life. You should know what your condition is already. Or at least they know what your condition is. Maybe intervention is a better route to go. I wish I had had one earlier. Make no bones about it. So you drank for 40 plus years on day 2, after I had the hangover and everything else. Yeah, if I'd had an intervention. How about year 1? It would have been worth it. Though there's no way of proving it, we believe that early in our using alcohol, drugs, whatever, early in our careers, most of us could have stopped. Oh, that's what I was just saying, early on. But the difficulty is that few of us have had enough desire to stop while there is yet time. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Yeah, I'll quit. I know, I overdo it. Yeah, I'll quit. Uh, Let me just get through the week. Yeah, yeah, we'll do it next week. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Um, we've heard of a few instances where people who showed definite signs were able to stop for a long period because of an overpowering desire to do so. Here is one, and they give an example here. Yeah, some people do, and they're blessed. It's a wonderful thing. Yeah, I drank, I went out, and drank, but I don't like it. I don't like the way it makes me feel. It makes me sick. I know exactly how they feel because that's how I feel about pot, for instance. Same thing. A lot of people, hey, it's great. I love it. Blah, 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 blah. Didn't affect me that way. I was different. But hey, if you can quit, if you can stop on your own, God bless you. You are blessed. Absolutely. So this man of 30 was doing a great deal of spree drinking. Spree drinking. What do we call it today? What's spree drinking? Uh, Drinking into oblivion, I guess. He was very nervous in the morning after these bouts. Yeah, he would be nervous. And quieted himself with more liquor. In other words, a hair of the dog, right? That's what they used to call it. He was ambitious to succeed in business, but saw that he would get nowhere if he drank at all. And again, this is about a particular alcoholic. Once he started, he had no control, whatever. Well, and that phrase doesn't matter what drug, what addiction you have, because your brain is different. Once you start, you have no control, whatever. Made up his mind that until he had been successful in business, here we go, it's putting it off. Until he'd been successful in business and had retired, he would not touch another drop. Oh, you believe that? An exceptional man, he remained. Oh, he did. He remained bone dry for 25 years. Wow, that's a trick. But it says he remained bone dry. It does not say he was sober. He retired at the age of 55 after a successful and happy business career. And then he fell to a belief which practically every alcoholic slash addict has, that his long period of sobriety and self-discipline had qualified him to drink slash use as other people did. Out came his slippers and a bottle, and in 2 months he was in a hospital, puzzled and humiliated. Yeah, and if it was drugs and he stayed sober that long and then all of a sudden decided to use, he probably would have ended up in the ground. Hard drugs in particular. You can't go a period of time after you're sober and then expect to use and not have any serious consequences. That is for sure. He tried to regulate, again, this is about an alcoholic. He tried to regulate his drinking, making several trips to the hospital. Then he attempted to stop altogether, found he couldn't. Every means of solving his problem, which money could buy, was at his disposal. Every attempt failed. He was a healthy man at retirement. He went to pieces quickly. He was dead within 4 years. So there you go. It will kill you. I say that to people in the group meetings. It will kill you. I don't know. Do they believe me? Probably, but if they're like any other people, you go, oh yeah, well, that happens to other people. It'll never happen to me. That happens to other people. It'll never happen to me. Yeah, it can happen to you. This case contains a powerful lesson. Most of us have believed that if we remain sober for a long stretch, here's exactly what I'm talking about. I don't know. I'm not reading ahead either. It just happens to be there. Most of us believe that if we remain sober for a long stretch, we could therefore drink/use. But here's a man at 55, found he was just where he'd left off at 30. And that's what happens in this addiction disease. You pick up where you left off, but it's worse. I know there's people that have done it, and I know you'd admit it and agree with me. We've seen the truth demonstrated again and again. Once an alcoholic/addict, always an alcoholic/addict. Or you can just put out addict in for the word alcoholic. Same thing. Alcohol's a drug. Commencing to drink or use after a period of sobriety, we're in a short time as bad as ever. If we're planning to stop, there must be no reservation of any kind, nor any notion that someday we will be immune to the effects of alcohol or drugs. And that's not true. Absolutely not true. Of course it's not true. Young people, particularly, may be encouraged by this man's experience to think that they can stop as he did on their own willpower. We doubt if many of them can do it because none will really want to stop, and hardly one of them, because of the particular mental twist already acquired, will find that he can win out. Several of our crowd, and again, this is going back in the day, men of 35 or less, and of course this goes for women just as well as men. They don't, it's not, it's not particularly, although there are more men alcoholics than women by the numbers from what they have out there now, but men and women had been drinking only a few years. They found themselves as helpless as those who had been drinking 20 years. Yeah, didn't matter. The years just fly by. To be gravely affected, one does not necessarily have to drink a long time to take the quantities some of us have. Yeah, particularly true of women. There you go. I actually put it in there. Potential feminine alcoholics often turn into the real thing and are gone beyond recall in a few years. Certain drinkers would be greatly insulted if called alcoholics, are astonished at their inability to stop. And again, addicts, same thing, astonished by their inability to stop. Do they want to stop? Do you want to stop? Well, eventually you've got to. If you want to get sober, you've got to want to stop. Sure. We who are familiar with the symptoms see large numbers of potential alcoholics/addicts among young people everywhere. But try and get them to see it. As we look back, as a matter of fact, that's good. This whole section is a good lead into my video, which I'm going to do on stopping drinking in your 20s. I'll probably do that tomorrow. I'll put it up with my long form videos. I do have a few long form videos up if you care to take a look. And that is on the channel, Aware and Convinced. Okay, so we talked about that. Yeah, try to get them to see it. As we look back, we feel we'd gone on drinking many years beyond the point where we could quit. Again, drinking, using, same thing. We'd gone on many years beyond the point where we could quit on our own willpower. If anyone questions whether he or she has entered this dangerous area, let them try leaving their drug of choice alone for 1 year. If they're a real addict and very far advanced, there's a scant chance of success. Well, there you go. And that tells exactly what happened in my particular experience. Not to me, but to someone who's very dear to me. Sober for a year, and scat chance of success. Trying to do it on their own willpower. In the early days of our using and abusing, we occasionally remained sober for a year or more, becoming serious addicts again later. Though you may be able to stop for a considerable period, you may yet be a potential addict. We think few to whom this book will appeal can stay dry anything like a year. And again, dry is different than sober, of course. You can stay dry. But getting sober is putting that whole life in the trash. Well, not in the trash, but behind you. Let's put it that way. All right. For those who are unable to drink moderately, the question is how to stop altogether. We're assuming, of course, that the reader desires to stop. Whether such a person can quit upon a non-spiritual basis depends on the extent to which he's already lost the power to choose whether he will drink or drug or not. Many of us felt that we had plenty of character. It was a tremendous urge to cease forever, yet we found it impossible. This is the baffling feature of addiction, alcoholism slash drug use as we know it. This utter inability to leave it alone, no matter how great the necessity or the wish. Yeah, that's a fact, Jack. Yep. How then should we help our readers determine to their own satisfaction whether they're one of us? The experiment of quitting for a period of time will be helpful, but we think we can render an even greater service to addicts and perhaps to the medical fraternity. So we shall describe some of the mental states that precede a relapse into drinking, for obviously this is a crux of the problem. And I do a whole video on relapse too, by the way, which is on the main channel. What sort of thinking dominates an addict slash alcoholic who repeats time after time the desperate experience of the first drink? Friends who have reasoned with him has brought him to the point of divorce. I'm sorry. Friends who have reasoned with him after a spree. They call it spree. What is a synonym? Synonym? I know I could say it for spree. Synonym for spree. That's an old word. Let's see. Shopping spree. Binge. That's the word I was looking for. Binge. Bender. There you go. Binge, bender, carousal. There you go. Spree. Okay. So, let's see. Many friends who have reasoned with him after a bender, which is brought him or her to the point of divorce or bankruptcy, are mystified when he walks or she walks directly into a bar. They call it a saloon. When was the last time you heard the word saloon? I know there's some out there that call them saloons, but that's not a widely used term anymore. Into a bar. Why do they do it? Why does he? Why does she? Of what are they thinking? Our first example is a friend we shall call Jim. This man has a charming wife and family. He inherited a lucrative automobile agency. He had a commendable World War record. Well, he must be up there in years for a World War record, that's for sure. He had a war record. Commendable. Good salesman. Everybody liked him. Intelligent, normal, so far as we can see, except for a nervous disposition. Little jumpy, maybe. He did no drinking until he was 35. In a few years, he became so violent when intoxicated, he had to be committed. On leaving the hospital, he came into contact with us meaning AA. We told him what we knew of alcoholism / addiction and the answer we had found. He made a beginning. His family was reassembled. He began to work as a salesman again for the business that he lost through his drinking and using. All went well for a time, but he failed to enlarge his spiritual life. He found himself drunk again half a dozen times in rapid succession. On each of these occasions, the AAs that he was with or was talking to worked with him, reviewing carefully what had happened. He agreed that he was a real alcoholic and in serious condition. He knew he faced another trip to the hospital if he kept on. Moreover, he'd lose his family for whom he had deep affection. Yeah, where would he go today? He'd go to the hospital today. Or if he was a veteran, he'd go to the VA. They definitely have help. Or if he had neither, couldn't get in the hospital, couldn't get in the VA, he would most likely be homeless out on the street. Well, they threatened him to go to the hospital again, and then he got drunk again. And the people that were trying to get him sober through AA asked him to tell them how it happened. Then he got drunk again. And this is his story. Let's see how this goes. He says, I came to work on Tuesday morning. I remember I felt irritated that I had to be a salesman for a concern I once owned. Yeah, that would hurt. I had a few words with the boss, but nothing serious. And then I decided to drive into the country and see one of my prospects for a car. Okay. On the way, I felt hungry, so I stopped at a roadside place where they have a bar. I had no intention of drinking. I just thought I'd get a sandwich. I also had the notion that I might find a customer for a car at this place, which was familiar, for I had been going to it for years. I had eaten there many times during the months I was sober. I sat down at a table, I ordered a sandwich and a glass of milk. Still no thought of drinking. I ordered another sandwich and decided to have another glass of milk. Well, there's a lot of milk drinking there. Suddenly, the thought crossed my mind that if I were to put an ounce of whiskey in my milk, oh Lord, it couldn't hurt me on a full stomach. So I ordered a whiskey and poured it into the milk. I vaguely sensed I was not being any too smart, but I felt reassured as I was taking the whiskey on a full stomach. And the experiment went so well that I ordered another whiskey and poured it into more milk. That didn't seem to bother me, so I tried another. So he's up to 3 now, right? Thus started one more journey to the hospital. For Jim. Oh man, that's a lot of milk. A lot of whiskey and a lot of milk. All right. So again, there was the thought of a threat of commitment, a loss of family and position, to say nothing of the intense mental and physical suffering which drinking/using always caused him. He had much knowledge about himself as an alcoholic, yet all the reasons for not drinking were easily pushed aside in favor of the foolish idea he could take whiskey if only he mixed it with milk. There's some comedy there. Whatever the precise definition of the word may be, we call this plan plain insanity. How can such a lack of proportion of the ability to think straight be called anything else? I suffered from that myself. Yeah, I did. I suffered from insanity. No questions about it. You may think this is an extreme case. No, it is not. To us, meaning these folks that wrote the AA book, the big book, to us, it is not far-fetched. This kind of thinking has been characteristic of every single one of us. Yeah, so true. So true. We have sometimes reflected more than Jim did upon the consequences. But there was always the curious mental phenomenon that parallel with our sound reasoning, there inevitably ran some insanely trivial excuse for taking the first drink or the first drug, the first hit. Our sound reasoning failed to hold us in check. The insane idea won out. Next day, we would ask ourselves, in all earnestness and sincerity, how it could have happened. I don't know. Why is my nose itchy? Excuse me. Is that my allergies kicking in again? I don't know why that happens. Yeah, how it could have happened. How did it happen? In some circumstances, we've gone out deliberately to use, abuse, to get high, to get drunk, feeling ourselves justified by nervousness, anger, worry, depression, jealousy, or pick one, pick your flavor. But even in this type of beginning, we're obliged to admit that our justification for a binge was insanely insufficient in the light of what always happened. Yeah. We now see that when we began to drink deliberately instead of casually, there was little serious or effective thought during the period of premeditation. So we didn't give much thought to or what the terrific consequences might be. Yeah. I've read a lot of news lately about people doing insane things. Haven't got the coroner's report yet, but I would not doubt that some of them were under the influence of something, drugs or alcohol. Our behavior is as absurd and incomprehensible with respect to the first drink of that as that of an individual with a passion, say, for jaywalking. Oh, jaywalking. Okay. I don't have a passion for it, but let's say you have a passion for jaywalking. You get a thrill out of skipping in front of fast-moving vehicles. You enjoy yourself a few years in spite of friendly warnings. Up to this point, you would be labeled as a foolish person having weird ideas of fun. Luck then deserts you, and you're slightly injured several times in succession. Now, you'd expect that if you were normal, you would stop. But again, you go out and you do it again. And this time you get a fractured skull out of the deal. And a week after leaving the hospital, something else happens, another accident, and you say that you decided to stop jaywalking for good, but then in a couple of weeks you do it again and both your legs are broken. Yeah, that's insanity. Same thing. You have an obsession to do something like that, you're obsessed with it, and it's damaging to you, but you still keep doing it. Yeah, that's insanity, all right. How many times have we done that? On through the years, this conduct continues, accompanied by the continual careful or keep off the streets altogether. Can't do it any longer. the wife gets a divorce, or husband, if you happen to be female, husband gets a divorce, held up to ridicule, tries every known means to get the obsession of jaywalking out of his head. He gets shut up again in a hospital. But the day that you come out, you race in front of another car or fire truck in this case, which breaks your back. Such a person would be crazy, wouldn't they? Now, you may think that the illustration's too ridiculous, but is it? We, who have been through the ringer, have to admit, if we substituted alcoholism or addiction for jaywalking, the illustration would fit exactly. However intelligent we may have been in other respects, where alcohol or drugs have been involved, we've been strangely insane. It's strong language, but isn't it true? And some of you are thinking, yes, what you tell us is true, but it doesn't fully apply. We admit we have some of these symptoms, but we have not gone to the extremes that you did, nor are we likely to, for we understand ourselves so well after what you have told us that such things cannot happen again. We've not lost everything in life through drinking or drugging, and we certainly do not intend to. Thanks for the information. See you later. That's about what they're saying. Well, that may be true of certain non-addictive people who, though drinking foolishly, again, this is alcohol related, drinking foolishly and heavily at the present time, I guess you can say using foolishly as well, are able to stop or moderate because their brains and bodies have not been damaged as ours have been. But the actual or potential alcoholic / addict, with hardly an exception, will be absolutely unable to stop on the basis of self-knowledge. This is a point we wish to emphasize and re-emphasize to smash home upon our addictive readers, as it's been revealed to us out of bitter experience. Yeah. So you're an addict. Your brain, and you're new. Your addiction is new, and your brain hasn't been as damaged as some of us. You probably won't be able to stop just by saying, I guess I'll quit now. Probably not. Some may. But the vast majority most likely won't be able to do it. Me and my itchy nose. Okay. All right, here's another, let's see. Here's another story, another illustration. I'm going to have some. Here's my other can here. Water. Thank you. I needed that. I think we'll quit the coffee for now. Let's stick with the water. Let's take a look at another illustration. Fred. He's a partner in a well-known accounting firm. His income's good. He has a fine home, is happily married, and father of promising children of college age. He is so attractive, a personality. He makes friends with everyone. If ever there was a successful businessman, it's Fred. I knew Fred. To all appearances, he is stable, well-balanced individual. Yet, he's an addict. He's addicted to alcohol, also called an alcoholic. We first saw Fred about a year ago in a hospital. We had gone to recover from a bad case of anxiety. It was his first experience of this kind, and he was ashamed of it. Far from admitting he was an alcoholic / addict, he told himself he came to the hospital to rest his nerves. Oh, yeah. Well, if that was the case, I'd be living in the hospital permanently, you know? The doctor suggested strongly that he might be worse than he realized. For a few days, he was depressed about his condition. He made up his mind to quit altogether. It never occurred to him that perhaps he could not do so, in spite of his character and standing. Fred would not believe himself an alcoholic / addict, much less accept a spiritual remedy for his problem. We told him what we knew about alcoholism, and he was interested and conceded that he'd had some of the symptoms, but he was a long way from admitting that he could do nothing about it himself. He was positive that this humiliating experience, plus the knowledge that he had acquired, would keep him sober the rest of his life. Self-knowledge would fix it. We heard no more of Fred for a while, and one day we were told that he was back in the hospital. And this time he was quite shaky. He soon indicated that he was anxious to see us. The story he told is most instructive, for here was a chap absolutely convinced that he had to stop drinking, who had no excuse for drinking, who exhibited splendid judgment and determination in all his other concerns, yet was flat on his back nevertheless. So in Fred's words, he says, I was much impressed with what you fellows said about alcoholism / addiction, but I frankly did not believe it would be possible for me to drink again. I somewhat appreciated your ideas about the subtle insanity which precedes the first drink, or first whatever your flavor is. But I was confident it could not happen to me after what I had learned. I reasoned I was so far advanced, as most of you know, that I had been usually successful. Oh, okay. He had been usually successful in solving other personal problems. He would therefore be successful where the men that wrote the big book, AAers, where they failed. So he was going to succeed. He says that he felt he had every right to be self-confident, that it would be only a matter of exercising my willpower and keeping on guard. In this frame of mind, I went about my business, and for a time all was well. I had no trouble refusing drinks. Began to wonder if I'd not been making too hard work of a simple matter. One day I went to Washington to present some accounting evidence to a government bureau. I'd been out of town before during this particular dry spell, so there was nothing new about that. Physically, I felt fine. Neither did I have any pressing problems or worries. My business came off well. I was pleased. I knew my partners would be too. It was the end of a perfect day, not a cloud on the horizon. So what did he do? I went to my hotel and leisurely dressed for dinner. As I crossed the threshold of the dining room, the thought came to mind that it would be nice to have a couple of cocktails with dinner. That was all, nothing more. I ordered a cocktail in my meal. Then I ordered another cocktail. After dinner, I decided to take a walk. When I returned to the hotel, it struck me to have a highball. It would be fine before going to bed, so I stepped into the bar and had one. I remember having several more that night and plenty the next morning. I have a shadowy recollection of being in an airplane bound for New York, of finding a friendly taxi cab driver at the landing field instead of my wife. The driver escorted me about for several days. I know little of where I went or what I said and did, and then came the hospital with unbearable mental and physical suffering. Yeah, does that sound familiar to anybody? Yep. I'll just have 100. Um, yeah, there's no way around it. It's gonna get you. You got to stay away from that one. Oh, I'm gonna fix that thing. Yes. Let's see. So Fred here. Two of the members of AA came to see me. They grinned, which I didn't like so much, and then asked me if I thought myself an alcoholic/addict, and if I were really licked this time. I had to concede both propositions. They piled on me heaps of evidence to the effect that an alcoholic/addict mentally mentality, such as I had exhibited in Washington, was a hopeless condition. They cited cases out of their own experience by the dozen. This process snuffed out the last flicker of conviction that I could do the job myself. Then they outlined the spiritual answer and program of action, which 100 of them successfully. So this was the first 100 that are writing this story. Okay. Though I had been only a nominal churchman, their proposals were not intellectually hard to swallow, but the program of action, though entirely sensible, was pretty drastic. It meant I'd have to throw several lifelong conceptions out the window. That was not easy. But the moment I made up my mind to go through with the process, I had the curious feeling that my alcoholic condition/addiction was relieved, as in fact it proved to be. Fred's story speaks for itself. We hope it strikes home to thousands like him. He'd felt only the first nip of the ringer. I'm not sure what that phrase means. The first nip of the ringer? The first nip of the ringer. Remember, this is 1939. I didn't, as old as I look, I wasn't there. Because the phrase, the first nip of the ringer. Oh, I just saw it. The phrase, no, that's okay. I don't need it right now. The phrase, the first nip of the ringer, is a metaphor describing the initial painful consequences of a destructive habit before the full extent of the damage is done. Okay. Painful consequences of a destructive habit. So let's see. First nip of the ringer. Most alcoholics/addicts have to be pretty badly mangled before they really commence to solve their problems. Many doctors and psychiatrists agree with our conclusions. One of these men, staff member of a world-renowned hospital, recently made this statement to some of us. What you say about the general hopelessness of the average alcoholics/addicts plight is, in my opinion, correct. As to two of you men whose stories I have heard, there is no doubt in my mind that you were 100% hopeless. I would not have taken you if I'd been able to avoid it. People like you are too heartbreaking. Though not a religious person, I have profound respect for the spiritual approach in such cases as yours. For most cases, there's virtually no other solution. Once more, the alcoholic/addict at certain times has no effective mental defense against the first drink, the first use, the first cap, the first high, except in a few rare cases. Neither he nor any other human being can provide such a defense. His defense must come from a higher power. And there you have it. So that was chapter 3. Chapter 3. Out of the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. Reminds me of Trump's trying to say anonymous. All right. Okay, let's see. So, any questions? Any comments? Anything going on in your world this evening? Anything going on today? Anything at all? Let's see what happened here. Why did it? Okay. So that would be nice. I don't know. Let's see. Well, thanks for the likes. Thank you for the likes and the subscribe. Appreciate it. I know we're just hanging out. I love this little book here, Living Sober book. This is really good. This is again, it's an AA worldwide services book. I like it. It's good. I got to start wearing my other glasses. These glasses tend to make my eyes very tired. Let's see. Where did I leave off in here? Yeah, this was chapter 4. I didn't go through chapter 4, did I? I don't think so. This is chapter 4 in Living Sober, courtesy of AA World Services. Copyright 1975, first printing. Third printing, 2022. Chapter 4, remembering that alcoholism/addiction is an incurable, progressive, fatal, bold that word, fatal disease. Many people in the world know that they cannot eat certain foods, oysters, strawberries, or eggs, or cucumbers, or sugar, or something else. without getting very uncomfortable, maybe even sick. True. A person with a food allergy of this kind can go around feeling a lot of self pity, complaining to everyone that he or she is unfairly deprived and constantly whining about not being able or allowed to eat something delicious. Obviously, even though we may feel cheated, it isn't wise to ignore our own physiological makeup. If our limitations are ignored, severe discomfort or illness may result. To stay healthy and reasonably happy, we must learn to live with the bodies we have. Healthy and reasonably happy. That is the key. We must learn to live with the bodies that we have. Yeah, I have this body here. Love to drop about 20 pounds, but oh well. I'm retired. Uh, all right. I can do that though. Um, Obviously, one of the new thinking habits a recovering alcoholic slash addict can develop is a calm view of himself or herself as someone who needs to avoid chemicals, alcohol, and other drugs if he or she wants to maintain good health. Now, we have as evidence our own uh, drinking and drugging days, a total of hundreds of thousands of man or woman years, a whale of a lot of drinking and drugging. We know that as the drinking or drugging years went by, our problems related to drinking and drugging continually worsened. Alcoholism slash addiction is progressive. Oh, of course, many of us had periods when, for some months or even years, we sometimes thought that the drinking or drugging had sort of straightened itself out. We seemed able to maintain a pretty heavy alcohol intake fairly safely, or we would stay sober except for occasional nights. And our using was not getting noticeably worse as far as we could see. Nothing horrible or dramatic happened. However, we can now see that in the long or short haul, our drinking problem inevitably, or drugging problem, inevitably got more serious. Some physicians, expert on alcoholism slash addiction, tell us that there's no doubt that addiction steadily grows worse as one grows older. There you go. Know anyone who isn't growing older? We're also convinced that after the countless attempts we made to prove otherwise, that addiction is incurable. Just like some other illnesses, it cannot be cured in this sense. We cannot change our body chemistry and go back to being the normal, moderate, social drinkers that lots of us seem to be in our youth, if that's the case. As some of us put it, we can no more make that change than a pickle can change itself back into a cucumber. No medication or psychological treatment any of us had ever had cured our alcoholism. Yep. Further, having seen thousands and thousands of addicts who did not stop drinking or using, we're strongly persuaded that addiction is a fatal disease. Whether it's alcohol or drugs, it's a fatal disease. Not only have we seen many drink themselves to death, dying during the withdrawal symptoms, or with delirium tremens, DTs, or convulsions, or cirrhosis of the liver. We also know that many deaths not officially attributed to alcoholism or addiction are in reality caused by it. Often when automobile accidents, drowning, suicide, homicide, heart attack, fire, pneumonia, or stroke is listed as the immediate cause of death, it was heavy alcoholic drinking or using, drug abuse that led to the fatal condition or event, also known as overdose. Certainly, most of us in AA felt safely far away from such a fate. We were drinking and drugging, and probably the majority of us never came near the horrible last stages of chronic alcoholism or overdosing. But we saw that we could if we just kept on. If you get on a bus bound for a town 1,000 miles away, that's where you'll wind up unless you get off and move in another direction. Ah, how true. Okay. What do you do if you learn that you have an incurable, progressive, fatal disease, whether it's alcoholism, addiction, or some others such as a heart condition or cancer? What do you do? Well, many people just deny it. Ignore the condition, accept no treatment for it, suffer, and then die. But there is another way. You can accept the diagnosis persuaded by your doctor, your friends, or yourself, and then you can find out what can be done, if anything, to keep the condition under control so you can still live many happy, productive, healthy years as long as you take proper care of yourself. You recognize fully the seriousness of your condition, and you do the sensible things necessary to carry out a healthy life. Yeah, you do the sensible things necessary to carry on a healthy life. What's so hard about that? This, it turns out, is surprisingly easy in regard to alcoholism/addiction, if you really want to stay well. And since we at AA have learned to enjoy life so much, we really want to stay well. Well, that's true. The more sober you get, the more life means to you being healthy and well, mentally well. We try never to lose sight of the unchangeable fact of our addictive nature, our alcoholism, or whatever drug that we're addicted to. We don't want to lose of it, but we learn not to brood or feel sorry for ourselves or talk about it all the time. We accept it as a characteristic of our body. Like our height or our need for glasses. Then we figure out how to live comfortably, not bitterly, with that knowledge, as long as we start out by simply avoiding that first drink or drug use. Right? Avoid the first. Just for today. Just for today. A blind member of AA said his alcoholism addiction was quite similar to his blindness. Once I accepted the loss of my sight, he explained, and took the rehabilitation training available, I discovered I really can, with the aid of my cane or my dog, go anywhere I want to go quite safely, just as long as I don't forget or ignore the fact that I am blind. But when I do not act within the knowledge that I cannot see, It is then I get hurt or in trouble. Makes sense? If you really want to get well, one AA woman said, you just take your treatment and follow directions and go on living. It's easy as long as you can remember the new facts about your health. Who has time to feel deprived or self-pitying when you find that there are so many delights connected with living happily, unafraid of your illness? Diabetes comes to mind. Now, I'm blessed I don't have it, but a lot of people do. But if you're smart, you learn to live with it, treat it as the doctors told you to, take your medication as prescribed, and all that, and you live a healthy life. Well, it's the same with addiction, alcoholism, or otherwise. Whatever you're addicted to, whatever your flavor happens to be, flavor of the month. To summarize, we remember we have an incurable, potentially fatal ailment called addiction, alcoholism, or plain addiction. And instead of persisting in drinking and drugging, we prefer to figure out and use enjoyable ways of living without the drink of the drug. We need not be ashamed. We have a disease. No one knows exactly why some people become addictive, addicts, either alcohol or other drugs, and while others don't. It's not our fault. We didn't want to become alcoholics or drug addicts. We didn't try to get this illness. We were just born this way. We did not suffer addiction just because we enjoyed it. After all, we did not deliberately, maliciously set out to do the things that we were later ashamed of. We did them against our better judgment and instinct because we were really sick and didn't even know it. We've learned that no good comes of useless regret and worry about how we got this way. The first step toward feeling better and getting over our sickness is quite simply not drinking or drugging, period. Try the idea on for size. Hey, wouldn't you rather recognize that you have a health condition which can be successfully treated than spend a lot of time miserably worrying about what's wrong with you? We found this is a better looking and better feeling picture of ourselves than the old gloomy selves we used to see. It's truer, too. We know the proof of it is in the way we feel, act, and think now. Anyone who wants it is welcome to it. Take a free trial period of this new concept of self. Afterward, anyone who wants the old days again is perfectly free to start them all over. It's your right to take back your misery if you want it. On the other hand, you can also keep the new picture of yourself if you'd rather. It is yours by right. What can I say? I agree 100%. Or 2,000%, as somebody would say. Yep. I agree. I do agree. So, where are we? A little after 9:30, huh? On the East Coast. So, I may wrap this thing up pretty soon. I'm going to dim the lights and chill. Well, I hope if you're still sticking around, you had a good time tonight. At least maybe picked up a little something. You learned a little something. Maybe. I will be back. I don't know. I don't know. I may be back tomorrow. It depends. I have to go out tomorrow, celebrate recovery Tuesday nights. So I'm going to that, celebrate recovery, study Bible. I have that Tuesday night, so I may go out to that. Well, I am going to go out to that, but I may come back and do a live stream afterward. But definitely Wednesday. If I don't make it tomorrow night, definitely Wednesday. And if I do it tomorrow night, it'll be right around this time, around 9:30, 9 o'clock, 9:15, somewhere in there. So hope you enjoyed. Thanks for sticking around. I hope you have a wonderful evening. And don't forget, trust God, clean house, and help others. 3 pillars of sobriety, or getting sober, staying sober. Trust God, clean house, and help others. Okay? And never forget that somebody out there loves you. We'll see you next time. Take care for now.